And let me tell you something. Donald Trump will save this nation. I believe that. Now, let's go back to that ATF situation just a little bit. They had some hearings up on Capitol Hill. And I was particularly struck by one of our champions up there who was questioning the ATF director regarding the shooting. And that congressman said something that hit home with me. The widow of the man was at that hearing. And that congressman said to the ATF director, would you like to apologize to the widow of this victim? And after a little hemming and hawing and talking in the microphone and doing all this, that congressman looked at him dead in the eyes and said, don't look at me, look at her. Don't apologize to me, apologize to the widow. That was so powerful. You have somebody that's in Washington, D.C. that stood up for right and wrong. And you know what? That person just happens to be our guest speaker tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, Congressman Troy Nehls.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you. Sit down, sit down. Oh. You are always so kind to me. Always so kind to me. I have, of course, the love of my life, the most beautiful bride with me tonight. Jill is here, so. I was up there last Tuesday, and it was an honor to be there with him. I wear these Trump ties. You know, I wear Trump ties. It's the only tie I'll wear till November 5th. I ordered several of them. He liked the tie I had on. The media hated it. But he liked the tie I had. I turned it around. I said, no, it's not made in China. No. But he liked my tie. And I said, boss, I said, my Tori says hello. My little Tori, 11 years old, got to meet him. And I said, Tori says hello. I said, we're praying for you, boss. I call him boss. I said, we're praying for you. I said, you're fighting for America. Have you ever met a billionaire before that loves this country as much as he does? I think if you had $1 billion, you guys are all going to be floating across the globe and in your big houses everywhere, and you're going to be on a beach with your smoking hot bride and enjoying life. This man is being held, convicted. There's other grand juries. He's been indicted all over. And he still comes back and fights for us. Who does that? Donald J. Trump does. He's fighting for us every day. Whether you like the guy, says, oh, he's got some, I don't like his tweets. I don't like it. Get over it. He's our bully. He's our bully. I like the bully in him. Because when you looked at our globe, when you looked at the world, Hamas would have never went into Israel, wouldn't have done it. Little rocket man, he wasn't going to toy with South Korea. And Putin never went into Ukraine. He went under Obama, took Crimea, and did it without any violence. He didn't need any offensive. He just walked into Crimea. Didn't do anything under Trump, and then he comes back under Biden, and we have a full-scale invasion. Now, I've had people in the room, and I get it. I get it. I hate to see what's happening in the Ukraine. I don't like it. But I have never, and this is where we may have some disagreement, I've never given Ukraine a nickel, and I won't give them a nickel. I won't do it. 2 weeks ago, I voted against every supplemental spending package. And that included Israel. Now ask me why. I say, Troy, what do you mean? They're our greatest ally. You should love Israel. I love Israel. Giving $1 billion for the dome, I love Israel. But when you look at the legislation that we crafted, there was page 14 in this thing, and you got to look at it and fine-tooth comb. There's about $9 billion of it, humanitarian assistance, humanitarian aid. It didn't say humanitarian aid for Israel. It's going to Gaza, it's going to go into Hamas. And I said, if you think I'm giving Hamas 9B with $1 billion, you go to hell. I couldn't do it. I said in the hearing, and you can see me, I haven't, if you're not on my, I have this newsletter that comes out. I think I put some of that out there. So I'm questioning the Rules Committee. And I said, hey, listen, you want to give $9 billion to Gaza, Palestine? Well, let's have that as a standalone bill. Just put it out there by itself. This is an Israel supplemental package. This should be by itself. They don't do that. And I said, I think the squad wrote page 14.
Where does it go? Yeah.
Vladimir's Zelensky's going to leave a billionaire. Listen, my beautiful bride, we were in Ukraine. We went to Kyiv. We were there. We've seen it. And I will say there is no strategy there. And I think I've said this before. Our federal government's response is to just throw money at things. It doesn't work. You cannot just throw money at the southern border and think you're going to fix it. It's going to take policy change at our southern border to fix it. You can't just throw money at it. It's not going to work. It just won't work. But these supplemental aid packages, I voted against every single one of them, and I stand by my vote because I think you people, I don't know, how many people, was any that vote? And if you were, it's because maybe maybe you truly don't understand just how difficult of a place that is and how swampy it is and how, I almost want to say corrupt. Corrupt. I mean, it is. We today are passing legislation through suspension. Does anybody know what that truly means? I'll tell you what it is. It means you need 2/3. You need 2/3 of the House. Out of the 435, you need 290 and change to get legislation through. And we do it through suspension because we have about a 3-seat majority. And there's guys like me on the Freedom Caucus that says, if you think I'm voting for that Israel supplemental aid package and we haven't done a damn thing for the border, it ain't happening. So what do? We negotiate with Democrats. And so they bypass this Rules Committee. Everything goes up in front of the Rules Committee, right? If you want to bypass the Rules Committee, then you take it straight to the floor and you put it under suspension. And so when we've had votes, we've had more Democrats voting for some of our legislation are being Republicans that have the gavel. We got more Democrats voting for it. So I'm just saying this to you. And Mike Johnson, I think you're a great guy, great family guy. I know him quite well. He's in a difficult position, folks. He is. He's got a 2-seat majority. But I said, what is so difficult to understand? They called it Murph. I learned more things. Murph. Great man and this and that. But Chuck Schumer's in charge of Congress today. He is. He is. Murph, what's Murph? They had the 4 supplemental aid package bills, right? And they said if we can get all 4 of them to pass, we'll collaborate, put them all together, and we'll send it to the Senate, and then they'll have one vote. And that was going to pass, without a doubt. So they took these 4. But why didn't they put the bill, the border bill, with that, and Murph them all together, and then make the Senate pass it, where we would actually have a border security bill? We as Republicans didn't do it. We did not Murph the most important issue in America, which is our southern border. And I'm asking, you ask yourself, do you think for 1 minute the Republicans are in charge of Congress? No. They're not. They're not. I'm under all sorts of investigations because I guess I say too much. I say the quiet part out loud. And what they'll do is they'll come after you. You're going after the leader, the greatest leader the greatest president of my lifetime. But I will not be silent and go into the night. You, as Americans, people in this district, have to hear a little bit of truth. You have to hear truth. And even if the truth is uncomfortable, it's uncomfortable for some. But I have broad shoulders. I'm the old sheriff. I want to say, hey, you miss me yet? That's a hot chuckle a little bit. Hey, he's dumb. I'm telling you, that guy in there now, he's a dumb. So Marshall Slott, we hope he can win this thing. Pray for Marshall. So we were off this week, but instead of me doing all the talking here, I think it's important that I hear from you. I want to know what's on your mind. Believe me, I have nothing to hide. Ask me whatever you want. You have a right. Just ask me. I'll tell you. If I don't have the answer, I'll say, get with one of my staff guys. We'll get back to you. But I think it's important to hear from you. Could I go on and tell you about legislation and about this, about what we're doing? How come we don't have a border bill? What's the Senate doing with there? They can't even get theirs done. What are you doing on your committees, Troy, with transportation infrastructure? I mean, the T&I, transportation, the FAA reauthorization. I don't know if anybody's interested in all that, but I had one bill. I had a priority in there. That was to raise the pilot age from 65 to 67. We arbitrary, do you know that? Just let you all know, we as Congress, because we're so damn smart, we say once you turn 65, you're fired. You can no longer be a commercial airline pilot at 65. It's arbitrary. Why do we have that? Well, I don't know. It sounds like a good idea, isn't it? 65 years old, we fire you. Pilots have more restrictions on physical, medical. They have to go through EKGs. They get medical. They have all sorts of requirements, time in the simulator, check rides, all sorts of stuff. Your heart surgeon doesn't have that. But pilots do. And I said, let's just put it to 65 to 67 because we have a pilot shortage. We got it through the House, did a very good job, got it through the House. And Chuck Schumer didn't like it. Because Chuck Schumer is bought and paid by the unions. He's bought and paid for. So I would say to Chuck, if I saw that piece of garbage today, I'll say, you don't care about the traveling public. You don't care about the people flying in planes. You just don't. We got a lot of young people now coming in. You've got people getting these captain seats that got about 3-4 years. If you don't think, folks, trust me, I understand this. Our aviation industry is in a little bit of trouble. And you want to bring all this DEI in there, and that nut job senator out of Georgia, he put through some millions of dollars in there in the end because he wants more diversity in the cockpit. I said, I don't give a care what the hell color you are, or whether you're male or female, or even a pronoun. I just want you to be the best. What's the matter with that? I just want you to be the best. I get on these little pencil jets, go from here to Houston to Dallas or something. I see the guy, I said, my God, you don't look like old enough to date my 18-year-old daughter. I hope you know how to, if the engine has a problem, you get back down. But it scares me a little bit.
Same thing with the air traffic control.
The air traffic controls now. So we're losing the guys with the gray hair around the temples because Congress thinks it's the right thing to do. Shame on Congress for not doing this. Chuck Schumer, the Senate didn't include it. I was very mad at Mike. I said, Mike, I'm not happy. I'm not happy with this. But maybe.
Chuck.
Huh?
How old is Chuck?
Oh, I did that too. Oh, by the way, Chuck Schumer, Joe Biden, everybody, they all voted for this when we moved it from 60 to 65 in 2008. They all voted for it, but not anymore. It's because you want to change Washington, you have to get the money out of Washington. It's not going to change. And you say, well, it's under either party, folks. See, now my wife is saying, see, Troy, you said you were going to just stay positive and don't do this. I know, love, I know. She's saying, my cup is half full. I got a beautiful family. I love my dogs. I love my family. But what can I look at you in the eye and say, folks, the only thing I can say to you is I'm fighting for you and I'm putting America first. If I lose my passion and my willingness to fight, that's the day I leave. Because you deserve to have a fighter fighting for you. My warning to when Donald Trump gets back in, and I think he's winning. I love you, man. When Donald Trump wins, because the American people are smarter than that, when he wins, we got to go in there, and in my humble opinion, we got to clean house. If you are here on a student visa, we're probably paying for your education too, by the way, and you're in a college and you go get yourself a little pup tent and you think you're tough. Police tell you to leave, you don't leave, and we've arrested you. I would highly recommend we revoke, we take away the visa, and kick you the hell out.
Amen.
Forever. Forever. We are a nation of immigrants. I understand all that. I think that's great. But don't come over here and try to change this country. Don't. You start conforming to our culture and what we like. Don't come and change it. And that's what we're seeing. And I think it's a little scary. It scares me, quite honestly. It does. But even more scary is the weaponization of the DOJ, the FBI. Christopher Wray is garbage. Merrick Garland is garbage. They're garbage. I think, how can you can't be serious, Christopher Wray. We don't even want to get into the January 6th, but if you want to do this, if you want to, so I was up in Dallas 2 weeks ago because there's a brand new documentary that came out. Nick Searcy, he's fantastic. He was the marshal on Justified, the movie Justified. So he asked me, and I played some, I'm in the movie a little bit. But it's called War on Truth, and it's streaming. It is the best 2 hours of January 6th. If you want, and I'm thinking to myself, just trust me, if the American people saw this movie, you're going to have a different take on January 6th. You really will. Because they talked to the January 6ers, and there's several of them there at the movie, at the premiere. Now, you're going to cry a couple of times. You will. If you don't get emotional, I'm going to say you got a cold heart. You do. I don't know how. I got emotional. I'm sitting in the front row, and I'm like, damn. Yeah. It is very good. So if you want to get a little bit of truth about January 6th, you can stream War on Truth and watch that. But I've enjoyed my time there. My wife says, Troy, you come home, you're pretty amped up. Yeah, that's fair. I mean, the dogs aren't running from me when I get home. But I do get a little amped up, and I tell her, I said, baby, I said, this is probably the most difficult job I've ever had. It is. I'm only one of 435. I wish there were more people that put America first. Yeah. And we just don't. And I don't understand that. We could get into the $34 trillion. We could get into all those issues. I don't know. We don't have time for that right now. But I'm just saying it's concerning. The most important thing in our lives right now are the next 157 days with the election on November 5th. It is. And I'm all in. I'm all in for Donald Trump. I've always had faith and confidence in him. And I believe that the American people are going to see through this, and they're going to elect him. And then we will go in, and we will gut the swamp it is. Gut it! Gut it like a fish. And he'll have 4 years to do it. He'll have 4 years to do it. I'm not saying destroy America. Just fix America and put you first. What's so bad about that? And I'm a mega guy, so I'm that racist. Well, then I'm a racist. Go ahead. I'm the greatest threat. Do you know that, by the way? I'm the greatest threat to this country. Guys like me, really? You son of a... Let me tell you, I fought for this country. Sleepy Joe and others ain't going to come to my face and say that. I have when I was unopposed in the primary, so I sat up there at that Cinco Ranch Library. My twin brother, he's smart guy. And we worked hard for Matt Morgan. Thank you for supporting Matt Morgan. And he won. He's great. He's going to be great. But then in my downtime, I happened to spend some time. We went to see Donald Trump up there in Bedminster, took my family, my beautiful wife, and we've got some pictures towards the end of the book. Donald Trump was sitting there, and he says, Tory, go ahead, you can give me a kiss on the cheek. Now, if Joe Biden would have asked that, I said, hell no. Well, I mean, really, you would have done the same thing. But so I talked about Donald Trump in the book, and we had my family there. And my wife has a lot of love and respect for him, because when you meet the man and you sit there with him, he seems like he's this big bully and he's arrogant and obnoxious and this and that. But when you have one-on-one time with him, he makes you the most important person in the room. He does. He's just, he runs on motor oil, folks. He does. He's a machine. He's a machine that has Teflon around him and everything bounces off of him. But we have to pray for him and let him know that the American people are with him in this most darkest times. And please, Mr. President, don't give up on America. Don't give up on America. We owe it to our kids. We owe it to our grandkids. We owe it to our grandkids. But anyway, during my downtime, I had a little book to write. I think once you read the book, if you want one, they're in the back, but I'll sign it. If you read this book, I think you will be able to walk into any coffee shop around anywhere and have a meaningful, fact-based conversation with anybody as it relates to our border. And it's called, I do the best thinking in the shower, believe it or not. So I come up with the title, Borderless by Design, because this is by design. This isn't by accident. This is a strategy. It's all a strategy. This is exactly what the Democrats want, right? And eventually it could be citizenship for everybody. And if that takes place, I don't know how you, it's one party rule forever. It's one party rule forever. So, well, I guess Dave or whatever, I've talked too long here.
Have you got time for some questions?
I do. Open it up, anything you want.
Well, let me start off here, because one of the gentlemen asked me to ask you about the student loan fiasco that our dear president. How is he getting around the power of the purse that lies with Congress to do this?
It's vote buying. It's vote buying is what it is. You're buying votes. You're getting young people. And you know what, though? Let's just be honest, though, too. I think it's pretty effective. If you got a 23-year-old that doesn't know a whole hell of a lot, right? And he's got a student loan, this and that, and he knows this one candidate is going to, take 10, maybe 15, 20,000 off from a student loan. It sounds good to me. I mean, am I right, or am I well, they don't worry about that. Every nickel we spend, we borrow, by the way. Every nickel we spend today, we borrow. We don't, they call them pay-fors. Pay-fors. So the point is, in my humble opinion, it's just truly more election interference. Joe Biden realizes he's underwater. He's struggling, so he's going to do everything he can to try to convince people to vote for him. The student loan bailout is another thing. That's a big thing. And then the Gaza thing, another, well, what I'll do is I'll just put a pier out there. We'll have a port and bring in humanitarian aid. No, that's not working either. The pier wasn't very, very effective. And when he had 100,000 people in Michigan that were uncommitted, he's thinking to himself, hell, I need Michigan. That's how many electoral votes. You lose Michigan, he's in trouble. So he's got some smart people around him. Maybe Barack or Michelle are saying, hey, you got to find a way. You're trying to play both sides. But the Palestinians, they're upset with him, right? So he's thinking, well, let's just give him some money over here. Let's build a port over here. And he's playing both sides. But I think he's losing the battle. Yeah. And if you are I don't understand this either, but if you're a Jewish family and you vote for Joe Biden, I'm going to ask you, what are you thinking? I don't know what you're thinking. I mean, tell me why. Please, educate me. Educate me. What are you doing? Anyway, so it's election interference. How does he get around it? They'll find a way to move money around. It's a shell game. Stop? Well, I think the Supreme Court said he can't do it, but they'll find a way just to. Well, do you think this DOJ doesn't care about laws or a rule of law? No.
All right, who else has a question? Lillian, go ahead.
What do you think is our strongest option for VP?
Well, the boss asked me about that too. He asked me, who do you think? Who do you think?
VP candidate.
Now, my beautiful bride back in 2016, she says, don't share that story. Who should be the VP? Now, my beautiful bride about 2016, she said that I kind of like that Rubio guy. And I said, you like him because he's got purty teeth. He got that purty smile, this and that. I don't know why people vote the way they do, but she just kind of like this. He's kind of a handsome little fella, right? Little Marco. But his name is being mentioned. You've got others, but he asked me, and I said, sir, if you're asking me, I'll give you my honest, my opinion. And I said, I love Ben Carson. I do. I said, he's smart. He's an African American, and he will totally annihilate our border czar. Can you imagine those in a debate? That dumb broad can't speak. She can't. I'm a Ben Carson guy, so I don't know what happens in the end. There are some congressional, at least Stefanik, very smart, right? But I just think whatever Donald Trump decides will be the right decision.
Okay. Who else has a question? Hang on, let me get over at the start right here since I'm close.
How can we ensure fair elections?
Yeah, no, that's on the mind of many of us. When I sat at that polling location up in Cinco Ranch, it's the number one polling location. I sat out there, we're working hard for Matt. The border was the number one issue, and then they said, well, if we don't have safe and secure elections, it really doesn't matter. The day America loses the faith and confidence in the voting is that we're done, right? I don't believe that 2020 is going to be 2024 will be like 2020 because they do not have the emergency declaration with COVID, right? And so, not yet. Yeah, the bird flu, is that what's coming around now? They'll come up with something. Had some bad spaghetti, national holiday, nobody did it. So I don't think they have that. And I think people are paying closer attention to this one. I think what they say, they want to try to get Trump to get 1 million volunteers. And really, all you have to do is go into the big cities, the municipalities. My focus, and I told the boss that a couple weeks, when I was up there, I said, boss, I'm from Wisconsin, and that's a swing state. It's only, 10 or 11 electors. I said, but it's very, very important. So I'm going to spend a lot of my time up there because he's winning Texas. Ted Cruz is going to win, folks. You can send him $10, go ahead. But Ted Cruz is going to win that. Ted Cruz will win that by 6. I think Donald Trump wins by 9. I do. I think Donald Trump wins Texas by 9.
You ready for the next one?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the Republican rhinos?
Well, listen, everybody's got Tony Gonzalez just barely squeaked by, and some of these other guys. I don't think it should be my position to tell some of these individuals what to do. They're in different districts, this and that, but they're the ones that have to put their head on their pillow at night. And I put my head on my pillow and have a clear conscience. I mean, I stand by my vote. I do, and even sometimes that vote you may not necessarily agree with the vote. But I go to bed with a clear conscience. I think that the establishment in the Republican Party they're very, very strong. And there's 35 of us or so in the Freedom Caucus. We may have a few more guys in the Freedom Caucus, but we've lost some to retirement. So I don't know. But then there are also times that I think that the Freedom Caucus, Bob Good's a good guy. He's the chair of our Freedom. He's in a tough primary. Donald Trump has endorsed Bob Good's opponent. But the point is that sometimes I think the Freedom Caucus, we could be a little bit more willing to hear the other side and negotiate. You got to have a little bit of negotiation up there. If you don't negotiate, then you're not getting anything done. Zero. And I didn't go up there to 3.5 years. What'd you do? What'd you accomplish? I said no a lot. That's my opinion.
Congressman, One thing about the illegals coming across the border, 25, 30 million, who knows the number. I understand there's probably 4 congressional seats in California alone. If the illegals weren't there, would go away. I think the illegals, while they may not become citizens, still get counted for
The census.
census. And I'm worried about that as much as anything. We got to get them out of the country.
I understand, and I think the boss, yeah, you're right. I think the boss said that they want to have a mass deportation. I would support that. I would start with the bad hombres first, right? Let's get the bad hombres out of here first. Support that wholeheartedly. And yeah, they're counted on our census. I had a little deal the other day. They're giving them IDs now down at our southern border. They look very official. They're government IDs. And I think they could use those IDs as a way to try to either vote with it, get a driver's license with it, get benefits with it. This administration and Mayorkas, well, I'm so glad we impeached him, but we knew when we impeached him, folks, I'm being honest with you, we knew when we impeached him, it was going nowhere. I mean, what do you think? We could impeach, Christopher Wray. He deserves to be, but it goes nowhere. If you want us to do it, I guess we'll do it, but it's dead. It's dead. It may be a waste of time, but yeah, people want us to say, what the hell are you doing up there? How do you support this guy? We don't support the guy, but I think we ought to focus. Congress for the next 5 months should focus on nothing but Donald Trump. That's it. That's it. You can have the House of Representatives, but if you don't have the White House, you gotta have the White House, folks. These executive orders, they're being abused. You gotta have Donald Trump in the White House. That's it.
There you go.
Congressman,
That is never happening.
we hear so much about Social Security possibly losing. Why are they considering giving money to the illegals in our system? There's enough seniors here that can override the young people he's buying.
Yeah, I don't. Social Security, So listen, we're at $34 trillion. Our interest on our debt is going to next year surpass our defense spending. It could reach $1 trillion. We spent almost $900 billion on defense. The interest on the debt, just the interest. Forget about paying principal. The interest is going to surpass our defense spending next year. So it's a lot of do-re-mi, lots of money. And so we have these conversations about $34 trillion. So you know what mandatory spending is. Mandatory is over here, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. And then you got discretionary, the military budget, all that other stuff. But the problem is mandatory is over 60-something% of the budget. It was never that high. It was always down here. You got people living longer and you don't have enough people paying in, right? And so if you're truly, I'm being honest with you, if you're truly going to do something about $34 trillion, you have to address mandatory spending. And I'll guarantee you this, neither party is going to do it. Could you be? Remember they threw Graham over the pushing Graham off the cliff? Remember that? Complete horse manure. But you are going to have to address mandatory spending. And if you don't, nothing changes. You have to address it. And I don't have the answer. I'm that junior woodchuck. I don't have all the answers up there. Let the smart people deal with it. But that's it. And so who's going to touch Social Security? You can touch it in an election year. That's not happening. No.
Go ahead,
So-
Dixon.
Congressman, I'm asking you, what are we gonna do about mandatory age with these people that live their life there and think they can retire and keep going? And we pay for all of this.
Which one are you talking about?
Term
Term
limit.
limit. Oh, yeah. Well, there were 4 Republicans on it. So that's in our committee, Judiciary, and we had a hearing on it. Ted Cruz had a plan. He says 2 terms as a senator, which would be 12 years, 6 years times 2, 12 years, and 3 terms as a House member. I said, Ted, can't agree on that, buddy. I won't do that because it takes a long time. You don't know where the bathroom is after your freshman year. It takes a lot to. So I said, I'll do 6 terms as a House member. That's 12 years. So we do 12 and 12. I'll agree. Well, anyway, so they brought his up there, Ted Cruz, in the Judiciary Committee, and we had 4 Republicans that voted against it. We never even get it out of the Judiciary Committee to go to the House floor for a vote. Now, am I mad at some of my colleagues, Scott Fitzy out of Wisconsin, some other great guys? They said, Troy, Harriet Hageman, she voted against it. And she said, Troy, she says, the people can decide every 2 years whether they want me. I said, but that's not really, really fair. Why incumbents get reelected over and over again is because you can't compete with the money they have. If you got $3 million in your campaign account and you could be a dum-dum, how do you compete with that? You could have a smart person, really smart, say, I'm going to run for Congress and have a lot of great ideas, but he starts with zero and then tries to convince somebody to give him money when you're competing against three. Forget it. I'm just telling you, it's hard, very hard to be an incumbent. That's why 97% get reelected.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just curious, the compromise border bill that Biden and the Senate worked on and the House kind of stopped.
Yeah.
What was your take on that?
No, it's not a border bill. Their position was throw money at it so we can hire some more border, so we can process them faster. No. Chuck Schumer has been sitting on a true border security bill for over a year. It was called HR 2, and he's done nothing with it. Chuck Schumer he's a character. But I tell you something, you got to give it to him. He's in charge over there. Chuck Schumer's in charge, and Chuck Schumer's in charge of Hakeem Jeffries, who's the minority leader in the House of Representatives. And Hakeem Jeffries wants to be speaker one day. So he does exactly what Chuck tells him to do. Yeah. So that's my take on. The border bill in the Senate didn't even get through the Senate, and it was bipartisan. That's how jacked up it was.
Okay, so mine's not a question, it's a comment about
Uh-oh.
you. Okay, two things. First of all, we appreciate that you still put on your bulletproof vest every day and go up there and take the bullets, because we know what it's like. We see it.
Yeah.
We don't know firsthand like you do, but we see it. Secondly, you talked about being at Cinco Ranch. Let me tell you, this man, as busy as he is, when he's home, instead of being with family and whatever else he'd love to do, he's out there at the polls. He talked about going for Matt Morgan. Well, my little brother, Tim McConnell, was at Cinco Ranch about to vote for Matt's competition because he was listening to all the negative crap that was being talked about, and he saw you, and he came up and said, my sister's Marianne Metcalf, she thinks the world of you, blah, blah, blah.
Marianne.
And why are you holding a Matt Morgan sign? And you explained to him, and you changed his vote.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Okay.
So,
Marianne.
thank you for your dedication.
Yeah, thank you, Mary.
in doing
You're
Thank
so
you.
sweet. And drunk Dave Phelan survived because Democrats voted for him. Drunk Dave got reelected because Democrats voted for him. Oh my goodness.
Troy, how many more can you take?
Huh?
How many more can you take?
I'll take one or two more and then.
All right, let me get one here, then I'll get
Okay.
Susan Jacobs over there. See her.
Yeah.
Hey, Congressman, two questions quick. What do you think about Abbott's effort on the border, and what is the thinking of your colleagues in Congress? That's one. Two, what is your thinking and your colleagues in Congress on Article 5 of the Constitution, not Amendment 5, Article 5, because of the border situation, because of the debt, everything else, of the convention of the states?
Well, I don't think that's ever going to happen. I think it's great, but I will say this as it relates to Greg Abbott. I think he's doing everything he can to try to keep us safe here. What I don't like is that we're using our own hard tax dollars to augment the Border Patrol with all this National Guard and DPS. And I think he's doing it because he feels he has to. I don't think they're overwhelmed, the Border Patrol down there. But, so we're getting taxed twice. We're paying our federal taxes, and it's Congress's job. It's the federal government's job in the Constitution to secure the southern border. But now we're using our own hard-earned tax dollars. Now, I remember when I was running, I said, Nancy Pelosi, they ought to write a check and reimburse us. And there are members from Texas that have said, we need to be reimbursed. They're not going to reimburse us for this. But I think we're putting over $1 billion a year now. $1 billion of our tax dollars, when that could be going towards education or some other programs, infrastructure, our alien infrastructure, all that other stuff. But it's going to the border because our federal government isn't doing their job. So I think he's done a pretty good job with the border. And I understand why he is sending the troops down there to try to help keep us safe.
One more, Congressman. Go ahead, Susan.
I was very, very impressed with the backing you gave Matt during his campaign run. You really needed but, as.
Speak into the microphone, please.
Yeah, I think, listen, we got to, just historically, the turnout will be high in November, obviously. And every Republican better get out the vote. Yeah, I mean, you got to get out the vote. He's winning Texas. He will, but we got to get out the vote and show him our support. It's going to be a little bit more of an uphill climb. There are Democrats that obviously don't like Donald Trump, and I think they will come out in droves as well. The problem is, and I've told some of my conservative friends that have moved here, many in the minority community, whether Hindu, Muslim, I said, why'd you come to Fort Bend County? Oh, we love it here. I think this is great. We love the schools. We love Fort Bend County. I said, do you know it's been under Republican control for 20 years? And now you're voting Democrat. How smart is that? You came here because you love it. Well, who do you think was in charge of the county for the past 2 decades? Republicans. And now look at what we have. You got a bozo as sheriff. You got a county judge that is whatever. The point I'm making, folks, is if we're being honest with each other, our county has changed significantly in the last 8 years, and I just don't know how we fix it. Vote! You got to vote. Take it back. I like that too. Listen, I'm going to finish, but on a serious note now. Hey, baby, do me a favor, love. Would you bring your phone or my phone? Because what I want to do is I'm going to send the boss. I want to take a little video of us. All right? And I want you to, what do we want to say? Somebody think of something. I want to say, Donald Trump, we love you. We support you. And we'll scan it, and I'm going to send it to him. I'm going to send it to him. I'll send it. I'll say, this is the day, Donald Trump, this was the greatest miscarriage of justice. And we love you in Fort Bend County, the Del Webb Sweetgrass Republican Club. They love you. They support you. And we will stand strong with you. Do not give up on us. Does that sound good? So I will then ask you, we're praying for him. So I will say, when I say, folks, how do you feel about Donald Trump? You say, what do you want to say? We love you. Okay. I just want to let you to know they pray for you. And when I say they want to pray for you, we'll go this way and say, just say whatever. Donald Trump, we love you. God bless you. Keep fighting for America. How's that? They got to practice. Well, if we don't get it right the first time, we'll do it again. Say whatever you want, but we love you. We bless you. Woo! Donald Trump. Yeah. All right. Ready?
I'll do 1, 2, 3, then you.
Okay.
You know what's hard at home while I'm standing on a chair?
Hey, am I right, fellas? She's smoking hot, isn't she?
I am trying, but I have hardest time getting control of him. And it doesn't sound right and look right.
Baby, we'll do it again then if we don't get it. Let's just try. I think he just loves off the cuff stuff.
Okay, stand over here.
Mr. President. Oh.
On 3.
Okay. Mr. President, I'm here. A horrible day today. Obviously, the American people stand with you. We love you. What was done today by that corrupt judge is a miscarriage of justice, but we, the American people, are standing behind you. Behind me now is a bunch of people from the Del Webb Sweetgrass community, Republicans who love you. Show some support for Donald J. Trump. We love you. We love you. We love you. Thank you. Hey, we don't need to do that again.
Gentlemen, one more time, Congressman Troy Nehls.
I love y'all.